Hi, my name is Jake, but that's not important right now. I'm from the year 3000, and it's my job to make sure you understand what United States history is. The fate of the whole world depends on you understanding what I'm trying to teach you. There's not time to explain, but I'll try. I'm going to try my best to highlight just how exciting history is, and I better make it fast.
As summarized by the History Channel and Britannica, the American Revolution was an insurrection carried out by 13 of Great Britain's North American colonies that began in 1775. As a result of the war, the United States became a sovereign country, free from the rule of Great Britain. The war followed more than a decade of growing estrangement between the British Crown and a large and influential segment of its North American colonies as Britain sought to grow control over them. Until early in 1778, the conflict was a civil war within the British Empire. But afterward, it became an international war as France in the year of 1778 and Spain in the year of 1779 joined the colonies against Britain. I hope you're understanding more about why U.S. history is so important. The War of 1812 in the years of 1812 to 1815 was fought between the United States and Great Britain, primarily over the impressment of American sailors by the British Navy, as well as disagreements over trade, Western expansion, and Native American policy. The war ended after 3 years of fighting. On December 24, 1814, the Treaty of Ghent was signed, officially ending the war. Shortly after this war, a new one followed, called the Civil War. The North remained invested in their growing economy, while the South was still focused on slavery. Political conflicts over slavery's expansion into new territories ended in the secession of 7 southern states. This secession and attack on Fort Sumter sparked the Civil War, a conflict rooted in the issues of slavery and state sovereignty. I hope you're understanding more about why U.S. history is so important. The War of 1812 in the years of 1812 to 1815 was fought between the United States and Great Britain. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, enslaved Africans were forcibly brought to the American colonies, primarily working in agriculture. They were brought from places in Africa through the Middle Passage on large boats, where disease and death were rampant. Due to the American Revolution, gradual abolition was beginning to rise in the minds of Northerners. The U.S. Constitution, however, made concessions to slavery, counting enslaved individuals for representation and taxation purposes, and allowing the recovery of escaped slaves. Then, due to the cotton gin, the use of slaves in the South grew because of the rising costs of exports from the South. Despite the North's gradual move away from slavery, the institution remained deeply entrenched in the Southern economy, leading to a significant domestic slave trade. Enslaved people faced brutal conditions, with restrictions on their freedoms and severe punishments for disobedience. Slave rebellions, such as those led by Nat Turner, highlighted the resistance against slavery but also led to harsher regulations. Throughout the history of the United States, there have been a number of events that have progressed the way that the country is perceived. One of the most important events was the Great Awakening in the years between 1730 to 1740. A call to personal and direct salvation was pushed onto many Americans by people like George Whitefield. This movement also led to a great sense of unity in the United States, just as it has the possibility to do in current times. Another great event of progress in the United States was with the women's suffragist movement, which was led by people such as Susan B. Anthony, Lucretia Mott, and Jane Addams. After great support from the country during World War I, many of these women led to the passing of the 19th Amendment in the year of 1920, which allowed women to vote. Organizations such as the National American Women's Suffrage Association led to a sense of unity within the women of America. Events such as this have had the greatest impact on the future of this country and allowed it to become what it is today. As mentioned earlier, religion was such an important part of United States history, especially looking back at the Great Awakening and the way that the nation was brought together by people such as George Whitefield. Religion can bring communities together, no matter what their beliefs are, just as is seen at Brophy. Here at this Catholic institution, the use of this chapel and what it holds is the cornerstone of the school. In the same way that the United States needed a sense of revitalization and hope in the midst of depressing times, Brophy needs to stand strong on their beliefs by use of the church. Keeping this principle in mind can help to understand why exactly history is so important. When we think about all that the United States endured throughout its history, one thing stays the same: The hope that those fighting for the right cause will stand strong to their beliefs. Hope, no matter what the form is the most important part of history, especially for the United States.